British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning, I'm Sophie Hansen, and these are your news updates to 10 o'clock. BC's police watchdog says one officer from the Vancouver Police Department could face charges in a shooting that killed a man 2 years ago. The Independent Investigations Office says the Vancouver Police Department responded to a complaint from the Patricia Hotel on May 5th of 2022, and a police officer fired shots, leaving a man in fatal injuries. Our producer Spencer Pomeroy has more on the investigation.
Interim Chief Civilian Director Sandra Henson says she found evidence that suggests one officer might have committed offences in relation to the use of force. The agency says it has filed a report to the Crown Council for consideration of charges. More news to come today. The Palestinian ambassador says Ottawa is, quote, stepping up, end quote, in its efforts to support Palestine. And a Vancouver housing announcement that prioritizes women and children. Back to you.
A British Columbia Supreme Court judge has declared a mistrial in the case of Kane Carter, who was accused of murdering a gang member and an innocent teenager who was passing by in his parents' vehicle. A jury came back yesterday evening after 5 days of deliberations. He was charged with the second-degree murders of a 15-year-old Alfred Wong and 23-year-old Kevin Whiteside. The Crown told the jury that Carter was protecting a gang associate at a nearby restaurant when he began shooting, killing both Whiteside and Wong. Carter's defense lawyer, Richard Fowler, told jurors that there were significant gaps in time in the Crown's theory of what happened that day. The jurors could not reach a unanimous decision, and now prosecutors must decide whether to try Carter for a second time. Remembrances are taking place across the U.S., marking more than 2 decades since the September 11th attacks. Nearly 3,000 people were killed when hijacked planes crashed in New York, the Pentagon, and Pennsylvania in 2001. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke at a commemoration at the Pentagon. He says they will not allow the memories to fade.
We don't just work near a memorial, we work in a memorial. Every day we serve in the only surviving building struck by Al-Qaeda on 9/11. And every day we carry a powerful sense of purpose.
Harris and Trump attended 9/11's remembrance ceremonies as debate reactions rolled in. Kamala Harris pressed a forceful case against Donald Trump on Tuesday night when their first and perhaps only debate before the presidential election. Harris and Trump showcased their starkly different visions for the country on abortion, immigration, and American democracy. Less than 2 months from Election Day and hours before the first early ballots will begin to be mailed in Alabama. The debate offered the clearest look yet, at a presidential race that has been repeatedly upended. The Palestinian ambassador says Ottawa has stepped up its efforts for Palestinian sovereignty in recent weeks. Mona Abu-Amara says Canada has gone beyond expressing concern to outright condemning statements by Israeli officials, such as when the finance minister suggested it would be justified to starve Palestinians. He also noted more frequent meetings between her delegation and Global Affairs Canada over issues like arms sales to Israel.
Before, I did not feel that we were anything near a step forward. But for the past month, I feel that there is this change. There is a conversation.
Hurricane Francine is barreling towards Louisiana and is expected to make landfall later today. The National Hurricane Center says Francine might reach Category 2 strength before crashing into coastal region that hasn't fully recovered from devastating hurricanes in 2021. For your local weather, it's mostly cloudy with light rain throughout the day, a high of 18 and a low of 13. This has been your news updates to 10 a.m. I'm Sophie Hansen for BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning, I'm Nicholas Hauka. I'm in the studio and just can't wait to tell you about our first sports update to 1010. Starting on the diamond, the Toronto Blue Jays earned a 6-2 victory over the New York Mets last night. Chris Bassett threw 6 strong innings, and Davis Snyder hit a 2-run triple in the 3rd inning. Bassett says Snyder has maintained a strong work ethic all season long.
Honestly, he's probably the first one at the ballpark every single day. I'm a guy that likes to show up pretty early, and I haven't beat him here yet. So, yeah, he shows up early. He gets his work in. He's constantly in a good mood every single day.
The Jays will host the Mets this afternoon at 12 in the final game of the team's 3-game series. The Baltimore Orioles and Boston Red Sox were also in action. Baltimore held off the Sox 5-3 in a critical victory. Cedric Mullins hit 2 homers and Albert Suarez gave up 1 run, striking out a career-best 8 batters over 6 innings. Orioles manager Brandon Hyde was impressed with Mullins and his team as a whole.
2 homers, gets us on the board there early, and another big homer. I was happy with our offense. We didn't push quite enough across, but I thought we were doing a better job of keeping the line moving.
With the Yankees losing earlier in the day to the Kansas City Royals 5-0, the Orioles are now only half a game back of New York for first place in the AL East. The Vancouver Canadians dropped Game 1 of the Northwest League Final 4-3 to the Spokane Indians last night. With the game tied at 3 in the top of the 9th inning, Indians catcher Jose Cordova walked up to the plate.
Line drive center field base hit. Spokane in front for the first time tonight. 4-3 Indians.
That RBI single was enough for the Indians to hold on to a Game 1 victory. The Canadians will look to bounce back tonight at 7 in Game 2 of the 5-game series. Canada's men's senior national soccer team played to a 0-0 draw against Mexico last night in a friendly. In a physical matchup, American referee Victor Rivas handed out 7 yellow cards, 4 to Mexico and 3 to Canada. Canada was coming off of a 2-1 weekend win over the 16th-ranked United States in Kansas City, marking its first victory over the Americans on U.S. soil since 1957. Manchester United has reported losses of £113.2 million in its latest accounts for the year, despite record revenues of £661.8 million, which is roughly 1.1 billion Canadian. The Premier League club was subject to a partial buyout from British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe this year. The figures were in part because of increased spending on players. The National Basketball League's Board of Governors meeting is underway in New York. One of the hottest topics of discussion was league expansion. Gen Kulba with more.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says the league is not quite ready to explore the topic of expansion, but it isn't due to a lack of outside interest. Silver made the comments at the NBA's Board of Governors meeting on Tuesday in New York. The league's Board of Governors also re-elected Raptors Governor Larry Tannenbaum as chairman of the board. The NBA also agreed to expand the permissible scope of coaches' challenge reviews on some out-of-bounds plays, saying that if a foul should have been called on the play, it can now be assessed shortly after the fact. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The NFL averaged 21 million viewers per game during the league's opening week, making it the most watched Week 1 on record. Rita Foley on the increase in views.
The NFL and Nielsen say that the per-game average on TV and digital platforms is a 12% increase over last year. 123 million people saw at least part of one game. That's the highest total for an opening week since 2019. NBC had the most watched game, with defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City's 27-20 victory over Baltimore in last Thursday's opener, averaging over 29 million viewers.
That was your sports update to 1010. I'd love to stay, but I'm down to one last breath. And with it, let me say, I'm Nicholas Hauka, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.